What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another hat format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your hat format replays, you can go down to the video description and find all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the match I have for you today, we have Odyssey Icaros, who is going to be on, I believe, C.H.A.T, so the card car hand artifact trap tricks deck, versus Kalina, who I believe is on just regular hat, so the hand artifact trap tricks. Both of these players are very good players, so this should hopefully be a good match. So let's get straight into it. Here, it looks like Kalina is going to win the rock, paper, scissors and get to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Mermail, Card D, Ice Hand, Ignition, and Beagle Tack. And on the other side, we see Scythe, Ignition, Beagle Tack, Compulse, and Dark Hole. So always, the Beagle Tack Ignition play is always going to be strong, and both players opened it. But here, Kalina will get a draw, getting a copy of Ice Hand. So, obviously you can see from these hands, very similar for the most part. And Kalina is going to start by just setting 4 and passing it over to Icaros, who's going to get a copy of Double Cyclone. Very strong draw there, honestly. And here, Card D is going to be summoned, and it looks like Icaros is going to set 2. And at this point, it looks like Kalina is going to go and activate the copy of Ignition, popping the Beagle Tack here, and then setting a copy of Moral Tack. Then Beagle Tack will trigger to summon itself, and then that effect is mandatory, so it will trigger to pop 2, popping the Scythe and Moral Tack, so both will be able to summon. And then here, the Moral Tack will be able to pop the card car, which is really good to keep Icaros off of those extra draws. And then it looks like Icaros is going to go and set that copy of Ignition that they had before passing it over to Kalina, who now gets their own copy of Double Cyclone. And let's see here, it looks like Kalina is going to overlay into a copy of Tiras, and then summon a copy of Ice Hand, go to battle phase, attack in with the Ice Hand, attack in with the Scythe, and then attack in with the Tiras here. And Icaros is going to take all of it here, and then Tiras is going to use its effect that this, let me just find it here. At the end of the battle phase, if this card attacked or was attacked, target one card your opponent controls, destroy that target. And so here, it looks like they're going to hit the Ignition. Ignition's going to be chained to pop the Beagle Tack here, setting a copy of Moral Tack. And then from here, Beagle Tack is going to trigger, as well as, it looks like they're chaining the Double Cyclone. Also, the Ignition here was popped, so that will also trigger. Hopefully they catch that or, are made aware of it. And here, it looks like the Double Cyclone on the Moral Tack, but Kalina is going to chain the Compulse, bouncing their copy of Scythe here. And then from here, the Moral Tack will trigger and be summoned, and the Moral Tack is then going to use its effect, popping the Ice Hand, which won't be able to float because there's no more sets. And then here in main phase 2, Dark Hole is going to activate, clearing the artifacts there. And looks like Kalina is then going to set that copy of Double Cyclone, as well as the Scythe, go to end phase, and the Tiras is going to detach one of its materials here. Not looking great for Icaros here, given they're only on 1800. And, I guess the Scythe isn't really the biggest deterrent here. Given, I guess the only way it would matter is if Icaros gets, say, a copy of Soul Charge or something. And then Kalina decides to chain the Double Cyclone to the Soul Charge, popping the Scythe, and then Scythe will be able to turn off any of the extra deck. But usually that card is a little awkward in a lot of the grindier deck matchups. It's good against, say, Geargia in a lot of cases, but it sometimes doesn't matter as much in the hat mirror, just given for example, the hands can just crash into stuff and you don't really care about the extra as much in certain situations. Here, Icaros unfortunately gets a copy of Max C, and it looks like they are going to normal summon Mermail, get a copy of Bottomless, and then just pass it over to Kalina, who also gets a copy of Mermail. They are going to summon it, and then Bottomless is going to be added, setting it. And then here they are, okay, so even though I don't believe they declared it, they are, acknowledging the fact that they have to skip their battle phase because the Ignition was popped. And then in the end phase, Tiras has to detach another material, which is actually, maybe an opening for Icaros, given that now this card can be destroyed by card effects, whereas before it wasn't able to because it had Xyz material. Moving along though, Icaros is going to get a draw for turn, getting a copy of Moral Tack. Again, not really the greatest draw here, but, you know, they do have this Ice Hand, which now can put in a lot of work, given we know what Wizkalina has. They are going to summon that Ice Hand and run it into the Mermail, using the effect popping what they know is the Bottomless. I believe they knew that because these were set prior, summoning a copy of Fire Hand, and then here the Fire Hand is going to crash with the Mermail, then the Fire Hand can pop the copy of Tiras, attack in with the Mermail and the newly summoned Ice Hand. And now, you know, Icaros isn't really, you know, it looks like they're actually pretty much in this. They have a Max C as well as a Bottomless and a Moral Tack if need be, though we do know that Wizkalina has that copy of Double Cyclone. So depending on what they hit, that might be pretty solid here, going to main phase 2, and they are going to overlay, going for a copy of Dweller, so very strong play there before setting 2 and over to Wizkalina, who unfortunately gets a copy of Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare, which isn't super great here. It can be depending on, you know, this Double Cyclone if it were to, say, hit the Moral Tack or something, or depending on what Odyssey really sees here. And here they're going to get their own copy of Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare, swing in with the Dweller, set another over to Wizkalina, who gets a duality, so this could be good for them, revealing Fire Hand, and Ignition, taking the copy of Fire Hand, so that will at least kind of stall a little bit, though we know Dweller is here. So here, setting that copy of Fire Hand, Icaros gets their own copy of Duality, so they're really just seeing the same cards pretty much. Here, Dweller's activated, going to battle phase, running over that Fire Hand, main phase 2 Duality, revealing Dark Hole, Call the Haunted, and Beagle Tech, taking the copy of Call the Haunted. And looking at that, you know, now we know they are at least on double Beagle Tech. And so from here, they are going to set it over to Wizkalina, who gets a copy of Torrential, which is pretty solid, and back over to Icaros, who now gets a copy of Call the Haunted, another one. Here they're going to attack in with the Dweller, setting another copy of Call the Haunted, so really playing it kind of slow. You know, Wizkalina is waiting on this Double Cyclone, I'm guessing, trying to wait for the Dweller to use all its materials, because they don't really have that much else. I guess they have the Torrential now, which might be a solid opening, but at this point, you know, we know Icaros has double Call the Haunted, and that definitely is very strong here. So over to Wizkalina, who now gets a copy of Mermail, which they're just going to set. Icaros gets a copy of Breakthrough Skill. Here we see the Dweller detach, go to battle phase, attack. We see Call the Haunted activated, trying to bring back the Ice Hand, maybe. Oh, yep, and here the Torrential is going to be activated, and the Double Cyclone here is going to be chained to it. And they're doing that just to out the copy of Call the Haunted, I'm guessing, which they are doing, which I guess the Torrential was more so to clear the Dweller there than anything, even though it now had no material. Because if not, if the Torrential would have destroyed the copy of Ice Hand by itself, it would have been able to pop another back row. So I guess that's why they were doing that. And here it looks like Wizkalina is just going to scoop it up after seeing that other Call the Haunted. They knew it was basically over there. Moving on into game number 2, Wizkalina will get to start again. Opening hands, we see Duality, Call the Haunted, Beagle Tech, Trap Tricks, Triple Nightmare, and Card D. And on the other side, we see Ice Hand, Double Cyclone, Pot of Duality, Call the Haunted, and Mermail. So again, looking at Icaros's hand, Duality is pretty strong, plus Card is always good. Though going second is a little more rough, and from Wizkalina, having the Duality turn 1 is always good. Plus, you know, having Mermail as the summon to be able to get a Bottomless is good, or play it slow with the Ice Hand is always good. And they will get a draw for turn here, getting a copy of Sanctum, so honestly, a great draw for them here. So starting this one out, it looks like Wizkalina is going to summon that copy of Mermail, getting the copy of Bottomless before activating Duality, revealing Beagle Tech, Fire Hand, and Wiretap, taking the Wiretap, as that's always just a great card to have, especially in this matchup. And then from here, it looks like they are going to set 4, so holding the copy of Double Cyclone here over to Icaros, who now gets another copy of Duality, and they are going to activate it, revealing Ignition, Debunk, and Sanctum, taking the copy of Ignition, so now they do have the Ignition Beagle Tech play, depending on if, you know, they are probably going to have to set that. They probably understood, you know, into 4 back row this card probably is not resolving, very similar to game number 1. And here we see that Sanctum activated, going for a copy of Moraltech, going and being able to pop that card. And here Icaros is going to set 4 over to Wizkalina, who gets a copy of Mermail, which they are going to normal summon, getting a copy of Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare. And from here, they're going to battle phase. And Icaros says that's good, and in battle phase, we are going to see the Ignition popping the copy of Beagletech, setting a copy of Moraltech. Beagletech is then going to be summoned, and the Beagletech effect is going to activate, popping the Moraltech. Moraltech will be summoned, and here it looks like Bottomless is going to be chained to that, and the Moraltech, what are they going to pop here? They are going to go and pop the copy of Moraltech there. And that does mean that Wizkalina can go for a rank 4, which now they are going to go for their own copy of Dweller before setting the Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare and the double Cyclone. From here, Icaros is going to get a copy of Warning. They're going to fire that Duality, revealing Fire Hand, Sanctum, and Duality, taking the copy of Sanctum here and putting the others back. And after that, setting 2 here, Wizkalina is going to go for the Call of the Haunted and go for the Moraltech, using the effect to be able to pop this Beagletech. But we are going to see Icaros activate that copy of Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare, but Wizkalina does have the Wiretap. So being able to out that Beagletech is so important, because if not, the Dweller has a hard time, it can't get over it, as well as the hands aren't going to be relevant. And here we see Wizkalina did draw a Fire Hand for turn. So here, I guess having the Call the Haunted here is pretty solid, though it's not really going to do much, because if they go for the Call the Haunted on the Beagletech, the Moraltech can just run it over, or even if they go, the Dweller can run it over, as well as they would be forced to pop their own back row, which isn't great. So at that rate, they really have to just play with this Warning and Sanctum. And just remembering here, we do know that Wizkalina had the copy of Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare because they had searched it off of the copy of Mermail. So that's not great for Icaros here either. It seems like Wizkalina is in a very commanding position, summoning that copy of Ice Hand and just swinging in for a lot of damage here. Or trying to, but here we do see the Sanctum activated, and the Moraltech's going to activate, and here we see that Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare activated, so then the Dweller's going to continue attacking in, but we do see the Call of the Haunted, so actually that was a way to get around that, sort of, and then using that effect here, activating the copy of Double Cyclone, going after their own Call of the Haunted, and the opposing Call of the Haunted here. And I'm wondering, was that on the summon or on the activation of the Call of the Haunted? Probably the activation, if I had to guess. And yeah, okay, so it was. So basically just trading Moraltechs, but making sure that Icaros is off of theirs, because in that position, if they were to pop the Moraltech, then obviously the other Moraltech would be able to go and actually start swinging over stuff, which isn't great. Here, Icaros finds, what is that, the 3rd copy of Duality here? Okay, so they're going to activate it, revealing Moraltech, Dianea, and Dianea, and taking the copy of Dianea, putting the others back, and let me just check their graveyard one more time. They have not seen a Mermail this game, so not the greatest, but, at bare minimum, they are going to summon it and run over the Ice Hand. Here we are going to see the Dweller chained to that, and they're doing that, I guess, just in case this was something. I guess if it were to be something like maybe a Sanctum, when it would get popped, then they'd be able to pop a card. But here, I guess they're doing it just to try to bait out the Ice Hand here, because they can chain the copy of Warning and then turn off the floating ability from that Ice Hand, which is exactly what's going to happen. Wizkalina draws into an Ignition, summons the copy of Fire Hand, goes to battle phase, runs into the Dianea. And here the Fire Hand can pop the copy of Dianea, summon a copy of Ice Hand, and Icaros is going to just scoop it up there. They have seen enough, and, very understandably so. Moving on into game number 3, we see Mermail, Ignition, Sanctum, Ice Hand, and Ignition. A very strong hand here from Icaros. And on the other side, we see Moraltech, Debunk, Sanctum, Mermail, and Wiretap. So not the greatest going second hand here from Wizkalina, but a very good hand at that for the most part once they can get established. Though, through double Ignition, that might be a little tough, plus the Ice Hand. But I guess at the same time, they do have Debunk. It'll be interesting. Let's get straight into this. Here, getting a copy of Duality off the top is insane. They're going to normal summon Mermail, search that copy of Bottomless, activate the copy of Duality, revealing was that Mind Control, Ignition, and a copy of Sanctum, taking the copy of Ignition. So they have triple Ignition. So this could get really out of hand, and here we are going to see them set 4, keeping the bottomless because they know that just all the artifact cards are going to deal with this for the most part. But here we see Wizkalina get a copy of Ice Hand, which is actually pretty solid here, and they're going to go, though, for the Mermelio and search a copy of bottomless of their own, go to battle phase and trade Mermelios, and here we see Wizkalina set 5. Ignition's going to be activated here, and they are going to hit the copy of bottomless, setting a copy of Moral Attack. After that, Ignition is just going to really go after everything here, isn't it? Popping the Sanctum, setting a Moral Attack here, and now the copy of Sanctum will be able to trigger, popping one of Odyssey Icaros's back row, which, of course, is the 3rd Ignition, which is going to pop a copy of Moral Attack, setting a copy of Beagle Attack, and then Ignition is going to trigger, skipping Wizkalina's next battle phase, as well as the Moral Attack is going to summon. And from here, we're going to see Sanctum go for the Beagle Attack. Beagle Attack effect is going to trigger, popping both the Beagle Attack and the Moral Attack, both getting summoned here. Before here, we finally get to Icaros's turn, where they get another copy of Sanctum. That was a pretty wild set of sequencings here. Just double checking, Wizkalina has this Debunk, Wiretap, and Moral Attack. So honestly, Icaros could just start swinging in for a lot of damage. And let's see what they choose to do. Here they are going to set a copy of Sanctum, overlaying into a copy of Durendal, so just insulating their plays before going into battle phase and attacking in with double Moral Attack and Durendal. So, you know, leaving Wizkalina very low in life, main phase 2 overlaying into Pleiades, and probably not going to use the effect just to play around a Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare, potentially setting the copy of Ice Hand and the copy of Bottomless, before setting or passing it over to Wizkalina, who now gets a copy of Double Cyclone, which isn't terrible, but it's kind of awkward here. Here, setting a copy of Ice Hand and the Double Cyclone, and we are going to see that Pleiades activate, bouncing the copy of Ice Hand. Icaros gets a copy of Fire Hand, and they're just going to go to battle phase. We are going to see that copy of Double Cyclone activated, targeting the Moral Attack, as well as this copy of Bottomless. It looks like Icaros, though, is going to activate the Pleiades to bounce that copy of Moral Attack, and at that point, Icaros just has everything that they need, and they are able to take that game. So very good back and forth in this match. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays, whether you won or lost. If you thought the deck you or your opponent was on was pretty cool, feel free to send those in. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see it. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.